Playtime.
Oh, aye! Okay. As we all know, it's a blistering hot day in Los Angeles. The temperature is, I don't know, about 175, something like that.
175.
Humidity is
storyteller.
heavy enough for you to walk outside and put some soap on your body and you can take a shower. But we're not concerned about that. What we're about is the conclusion of the Snake 2020. There's only one Snake 2020.
Amen.
Wherever you come across another snake, don't pay it any attention.
All right.
This one is the one.
Snake
2020 with the Halloween colors.
Aha. All right.
Front cover by Cedric Adams. Passport photo cover, blurb back by none other than the inimitable Salena-Hawkins.
All right.
And I have to say something about her while we're right here.
Oh.
I have never had the wonderful creative experience of working with somebody who was so sensitive and so well attuned to what I'm about. You know how artists are so selfish and egotistical and so forth and so on. Well, I claim to be in that genre too. But when you have someone who's right across from you, tamping that down so that you can wind up being freed of all of those faults. Having said that, I'd like to get your opinion about what has happened so far. We're at the conclusion of this book.
Well, I do enjoy how you've taken our hand and led us down the path to where we're at now. Okay, telling us as we go, it's okay, come on. You know, and now we're at the point where it's a little dark and a little scary. And from the onset at the village, you were concerned, you know, you're breaking a taboo. True, it's not your taboo. True, it's not something because you're so well educated in the Western world, and even with your Afrocentric views, you don't take and consideration or as real when the people in the villages say you went down the path we don't go. All right, and that you know, you're dealing with somebody, talking with somebody that you shouldn't be talking to. But being a young man, 25, and kind of full of himself and so sure of himself, a capoeirista, okay, you know, he's all powerful.
Yeah.
He has never encountered anybody like Asiapo, and it could make you go quite mad, you know, with your artistic temperament, your wife pregnant, your varying reasons of why you got married to this woman, even though you do love her now. It's an intriguing tale.
You know, you make an important point by taking him from this village, Chito. I had in mind the idea of just taking a journey or following in the wake of someone who was having a very interesting adventure in life. And, you know, many people have different kinds of adventures. Some are not very adventurous at all. They're born, they live out a certain, I think it was Oscar Wilde said, most men are living lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Well, for those who are not living lives of quiet desperation and they're really trying to live a full life, and that means having misadventures and adventures. In this case, you wind up with a filmmaker, someone who's seeing life as a movie.
I mean, he's constantly, you know, you put us into the artistic mind. You know, when you meet somebody, you don't think he's recalling past movies or making a movie while he sits in the room talking to you. But that's Kojo. He's cinematic. That's his mind.
Cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the reasons why I think that he would make an interesting movie.
I do.
A very adventurous movie. If there are any would-be adventurous filmmakers out there, consider that when the book comes to your attention. In any case, all of this is leading up to something that I call the Pan-African occult. And the reason I've named it that is because I realized early on when I started writing that I'm not a part of the werewolf zombie thing, you know, the bats flying around and the
European centric,
you know, the Transylvania monster and so forth. Because our tradition is really from another tradition. We are not really white folks in blackface.
Okay.
We really are not. And you find that out if you hang around with people who know a little bit about where we come from and where we came out of. And I've been privileged to be able to do that with a number of people. So the Pan-African occult is what this feeds on. Do snakes talk? Well, some people say yeah. You know.
Well, the depiction in the Garden of Eden.
Well,
you know.
That's another story.
I know, but then it's a snake that's talking.
Hey, and if the origin of the human race did take place in that garden, and that snake did talk, there's no reason why you shouldn't have other snakes that talk who come along later in the game.
Yeah, in the religion, you know, when it talks about the snakes and, you know, and arguing. Yeah, Dambala, yeah.
Okay, so without getting off the track too far, I'm going to read the last 2 chapters of this book and pray that everything turns out all right.
Yes, pray that everything turns out.
This snake, he'd been out in the backyard with his wife overlooking LA and Echo Park, having a wonderful dinner. And as he looks over his wife's shoulder, who's pregnant with their first child, very pregnant, I should say, he sees the snake. He stared at the bordered underbrush. I did see it. What the hell is it hanging around here for? He sipped his wine, frowning at the sunset. His wife is gone inside. She's ended for the day. A month later, into the new year, while doing his early morning capoeira workout, the snake appeared, casually flicking his forked tongue. Kojo froze in place. Now what? A goat? Was he actually speaking, or were the sounds coming from some sort of vibration? A goat? No, I am not going to feed you again. The snake slithered away. Kojo stood in place, trembling, sweating, the workout forgotten. Why me? Damn. He draped the towel around his neck and started the uphill walk home. I've already fed the damn thing 4 times. But that was last year, a small voice whispered at the back of his head. Last year. This is a new year. The new year meant a few crucial scenes for Grandfather's Eyes had to be shot, the editing completed, arguments happening with Charlie Bascom about the final cut. Kojo, you gotta admit, it's a pretty rare situation we have here, where the guy who's responsible for making the distribution deal of the decade doesn't really know what the fucking movie is about and has no say-so about the final cut. You begged into the picture, Charlie, remember? The music was going straight ahead with Magical Juna and the One Earth musical group. Yes, it's all coming together. Why should I cater to a damn snake? I must be out of my mind. Shower, shave, off to the loft. Kojo Jackie has me scheduled to speak to a women's group this afternoon, and then I have the literary number to do this evening. Good. I'm glad she decided to focus on your side of the screen for a while. She was wearing me out. She'll get back to you next week. Have no fear. Does a woman ever sleep? Agreements made, contracts should be read, an appointment with the lawyers, Green, Shafton, and Clark, a visit to the hospital to cheer up Thelma and Agatha, the super office manager who was recovering from a slight case of fatigue, editing, things to do. He backed out of the driveway and almost rolled over the 3-year-old. The mother's scream froze his foot on the brakes. He watched a woman snatch her baby up and scurry across the driveway. They exchanged mean looks. You almost ran over my baby. You shouldn't allow your baby to walk across the driveway by herself, idiot. He felt unnerved by the experience. God, how would you feel killing a baby? Killing anybody. The thought caused him to become more cautious at stop signs, drive a little slower than usual through the city streets. Well, the holiday madness is behind us for a while. Let's see what the new year has in store. He came off the freeway at Slauson and immediately pulled over to let the screaming fire truck pass. Always something happened in South Central Los Angeles. He was surprised to see the truck make a blistering right turn a few streets ahead of him, his street. He accelerated. What the hell is this? He turned the corner to find it blocked off, fire trucks and police cars in the way. He backed up, whipped around to the next street and ran back to the loft. Let me through here, I'm the owner. Sorry, pal, no one comes through till the fire department finishes their work. But I'm the owner. It doesn't matter who you are. You can't get through here. For a split second, Kojo thought seriously of punching the policeman in the face. It was a moment that he didn't surrender to. Let him through, officer, one of the firemen called to the policeman. You say you're the owner? Yes, what happened? The fireman strode to the side of the building with him. The neighborhood folks' excitement passed, drifted away. Well, number one, the damage isn't all that great, lucky, and it's more a case of more smoke than fire. Can we go inside? Any damage there? Most of the fire was contained in the rear here. It looks like an electrical short circuit fire offhand, but we haven't completely checked the premises. Kojo took a deep breath and released a sigh of relief to find the office and the office equipment intact, except for a few large puddles of water. You were lucky. Somebody spotted the smoke right away and called in. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Efficiently, the firemen cleared the space, rolled up their hoses, and left Kojo to look closely at the scene. We were really lucky. I'll have to give Thelma a bonus when she gets out of the hospital for spacing these metal file cabinets and insisting on the proper colors for everything. A fire, electrical short circuit. Now where is everybody? 11 a.m. Sunday morning. Wow, I must be flipping. Even the members of our production company have to take some time off. He strode through the space, consciously trying to block certain thoughts out of his head. Almost ran over a baby this morning, a fire in the office. No connection, all of it just pure coincidence. He sprawled on one of the office sofas, wishing he had somebody to talk with. What's wrong with me? I got hundreds of people to talk with. He called his parents. And he goes over and has lunch with his parents. Mm-hmm.
I like the way you're leading us into next chapter.
Yes,
okay, all right.
He comes home after having all that happen and finds that his wife has stumbled up the steps. Uh-huh. So he has no choice but to go and get the goat, which he ties up. Well, we're at 33 now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we stopping at Gila Bend. He and his wife have decided to trip out for a minute, take a little break, go back down to Mexico.
Ah, nice.
Down in Mexicali, there's a hip little piano player I know. He plays a mean piano, walks a sweet bandana wears a sweet bandana in a country place called Mexico.
Uh-huh.
If you want to. Yeah, I think it would be kind of fun to retrace our steps, sniff at the track again. Well, I guess that's one way to think about it. I'm fast forwarding us.
Yes, please.
The Gillian Hotel proprietor was there, pleased and welcomed them. Welcome back to Gillian. Didn't think I'd see you folks again so soon. Shower, change your clothes, and strolled into the desert. They stood, arms linked, staring up at the sky. Kojo, do you know how I feel right now? No, tell me. Like the heavens, like the sky, like the stars, I feel majestic. I'm sure pregnant women must think that way sometimes.
Yes, they do.
At this moment, I feel like the mother of creation. I'm sure it has something to do with this life I'm carrying inside of me. I'm sure it has something to do with it. I've never felt this grand before. You know what I mean? I think so.
Okay.
I can look up at the sky and imagine a cosmic woman giving birth to all of this. I've never bothered to give the matter a whole lot of thought. But tonight, right here, I have to believe that God is a woman.
All righty.
Kojo stared at her profile, not knowing what to say. A coyote howled in the distance.
Good coyote.
Let's go back. The road to Tucson made them think about cowboys and Native Americans. The criminal shame of it is that our brothers, the Indians, were dogged out by the brothers, by the Buffalo Soldiers, they called them. Yeah, they sicked the black man and the red man that just stood back and chuckled. Dad has a bunch of books on that period, incredible time frame. They couldn't figure out what to do with the best cavalrymen in the Union Army, so they shipped them out here to the desert with poor equipment, poor horses, lousy officers. Is this where that black lieutenant, what's his name? Flair or Flipper? I'm not sure, but I think it was Flipper. Yeah, right. Lieutenant Flipper, the first black graduate from West Point. They sent him out here and then ganged up on him for going horse riding with a white girl. I remember that vaguely. They busted him a whole bit. But if I'm not mistaken, they restored his stuff many years later. Justice, huh? An ice cold draught beer for Kojo, a warm orange juice for Akosua. Southward to Nogales. The border, a few dollars spent to speed up the process. Down here they call it La Mordida. La Mordida. The bite. The yes. In Ghana they call it dash. Same thing all over the world. Give me some money. The Sonoran Desert spread out in front of them once again, hot and merciless. They drove, sipping water and panting from the heat. A bit warmish, huh? I should say, rather. It won't be long for this. Right after Hermosillo, we'll start edging over to Guaymas on the ocean side. I remember Hermosillo, the supermarket for canned peaches, white wine, apples. It could be an American supermarket, huh? It is an American supermarket. Guaymas. They pull the salty tang of the air into their noses like a rare drug. Looks like we can breathe again.
Yes.
Yeah, the desert doesn't give up a lot of cool air, does it? The Hotel La Mar for their first soft evening at the ocean and a dinner of Huachinango a la Vera Cruzana. I love the way they do this fish. Everything had been placed on hold for their trip. It was a trait that they were beginning to admire in each other, the ability to let go. Huatabampo seemed to drift into view from behind a sand dune. This is truly what I call a picturesque place. I've been searching for that word for miles. Yeah, that's what it is. They did a roundabout of the city's plaza and headed for the Huatabampo Hotel, suite number 6. Mr. and Mrs. Chavez, plus their stair-step collection of 6, were there to greet them. Mrs. Chavez grabbed Akosua in a python embrace rejoicing vicariously in her pregnancy. Mr. Chavez looked the situation over and offered Kojo a macho hug and a bit of whispered wisdom. Only we men can do these things, comprende? Hey.
Without the woman, it would be impossible.
Hey, you got your opinion, I got his opinion.
Okay.
The welcome section over, they were left to themselves. La cena estaba 6, por favor. I got the por favor, what's the other? She says dinner would be at 6. Oh Lord, here we go. They had 4 days to chill out and they were going to take advantage of it. Cool, you know something? When we left here the last time, I felt that I had been recharged. I know the feeling, my man. I know the feeling. Days and nights on the Huatabampo blended became a tapestry. From the first evening meal, sopa de Huatabampito, to the following breakfast of shrimps and eggs, they drifted from one warm vibe to the next. They sprawled on the shore of the sun-warmed water. Akosua was smiling at the sight of her bulging belly in a bikini. Kojo gazed at the creamy clouds and the baby blue sky and wished he were a bird. What is so important about being down here anyway? Slugging our way through all of this gravity, sucking up everybody's garbage. And when the poetic feelings threatened to overwhelm them with emotions they didn't feel capable of dealing with, one of the Chavez children would quietly inform them that it was time to eat. Thoughts, food, sleeping, careful lovemaking, dreams. Kojo seriously considered another week of indulgence. We can't do it, Kojo. We can't do it as much as I'd like to. I have stuff to do, and you know you have things to do. The first preview is next month, isn't it? You got that right. Charlie Bascom had insisted on at least one preview. Come on, Kojo! Give me a break, for God's sake. I'm the distribution guy of the century. You're getting the lion's share of the percentage. You have to give me a preview, an idea of what's in this granddaddy's eyes. My grandfather's eyes, Charlie. That's the title. Don't forget it, okay? Sorry, big guy. Sorry. Don't need to get testy about things. The traditional preview in Pasadena with opinion cards. Okay, let's see what a cross-section of people think about the film. It's a done deal in any case. The drive back was truly anticlimactic. This is what is known as the downside, huh? You're right. But we're going to be looking at the bright side of the downside. We have a film in the can. The preview audience was composed of industry people, invited guests, and people who had already decided to sneak a peek at something called My Grandfather's Eyes. Charlie Bascom's entourage was strategically scattered throughout the audience. Bascom wanted to make certain, beyond the opinions offered on the cards, that he was made aware of unusual laugh spots, where sad angles intruded, what effect the work had on different people in the audience, mainly white. The cast and crew of our production company formed a tight core in the center of the theater audience. They seemed to be saying, with their circle the wagons attitude, we did it, now come on, get us. After the first 10 minutes, the prologue, Kojo felt like a man holding his breath under an iceberg. Akosua started his flow again by grasping his hand. Yes, it was happening. They had put the far-reaching vision of the old man's eyes on film. The ways he looked at the world became more than a peek through one pair of glasses. They were facets, sections that were almost cubistic, Picassoan. They had created a work of art, and if there was any doubt, it was dispersed by the musical score that Juna and the Earth One group had put together. 2 hours and 10 minutes later, the film came to an end, technically. But it was apparent to all those present that the ending was just the beginning. The audience, led by our productions people, applauded long and hard. Charlie Bascom rushed over to offer his version of congratulations. Why didn't you tell me you were putting this kind of thing together? Why didn't you tell me?
Please. Not you of all people. No.
The word was out. A day later, the trades were hurling a latter-day Spike Lee. Oh, God. They really get to me with this stuff. Why can't they accept Kojo Bediako Brown for who he is and Spike Lee for what he was? They must always pigeonhole us. Why? You know why. But be cool. You don't want to angry up your amniotic fluid. We've only got a few more weeks to go, right? About 5 to be exact. So be cool. Let them say what they feel comfortable with. We know what the real deal is.
Amen.
Sunday afternoon in the Brown house. A few dozen calls to deal with, some more details to be worked out. Kojo Jackie wants to set up a press conference in Chicago for the opening there. Are you game? That's next month, right? April, right. Sorry, that's too close for your time. This is a first for both of us, and I'm determined to be on the scene when your opening takes place. More details. Juna called. She's having second thoughts about the last 45 seconds of the music in the film.
Oh, please.
What kind of second thoughts? Not really second thoughts. She's just on an anxiety trip. Cool out, I beg you. No problem. Did you read the review in the Times? I glanced at it. Well, I won't burden you with the whole thing about comparing you to Buñuel and Cocteau. What he does get to that's quite interesting is this. Rarely, if ever, do we find ourselves faced with a true trace of Afrocentricity, which means that a creative person of African descent has traced his root lines to a primeval source, etc., etc. Crazy, huh? Yeah, and I think I know what drives some white people crazy when they realize after all of the cultural imperialism and all the other kinds of whippings they've laid on us, that we ain't them and we ain't about to become them. You do sense a little hysteria there, don't you? Really. What they don't realize is that my grandfather is pleased and that's enough for me. I'll second that vote. Oh, are you going with me this afternoon? Where? Well, my mother and your mother put their heads together for a baby shower. Looks like they've discovered each other. Well, you know they say opposites attract. Go do it. I'm going to hang out here today, maybe, look at a couple of movies, sip a little vino. Have fun. An hour later, after talking to 4 members of our production company, Jackie Muhammad, Juna, don't worry, everything is fine. Akosua will be talking with you in the coming week. What day? Monday. It'll be on Monday for sure. Are you sure? Yes. Kojo selected a movie from his collection, Mississippi Masala, and settled into 90 minutes of one Indian director's idea of what Indian African-American relations might have been way back then. Not bad at all. I don't believe it, but it was nice. Denzel was at his usual good self, and the Indian girl with the luscious growth of hair made a suitable sex pot. The thing of the Indian presence in Uganda was oversimplified, but what the hell could you expect from an Indian filmmaker? Thank God Idi Amin died. Too bad he couldn't have been killed.
Oops.
He was tempted to put one of the Cary Grant movies on. Decided not to. Poured himself another goblet of the San Antonio Red, drifted out into the backyard slightly buzzed, feeling egotistical. We got a hell of a movie on our hands. A hell of a movie. He flexed back on the steps of the back porch, sipping his wine, trying to see into the future. The curling, spiraling piece of thick black and green rope seemed like a mirage for a moment, till it coiled 5 yards in front of him. They stared at each other. Kojo felt a sudden chill. Now what? The snake slithered away. Kojo stared at the slight depression that the snake had made in the grass. Now what? He stared at the space the snake had vacated. What do I do about this? I need to talk to somebody. He worked his way carefully through a Rolodex of people. Mom and Dad, yes, of course, they would understand, but how could I tell them this crazy shit? Granddad, yeah, he would understand too, but how would I go about explaining that I had made a deal like this in order to do my films? Akosua, no, never. She would feel used. I think I would feel used if someone had told me they married me because they had made a deal. He mentally wrote and scribbled off a half dozen other names, friends. Nope, this one is on me. Monday morning, capoeira time. Of course, how do you feel? Just a little green about the gill, but not bad. Anything I can get you before I make my run? It would be great if you could do a fast forward of this pregnancy. Hi, Veronica. They shared a big smile. I wish I could, sweetheart. Believe me, I wish I could. He leaned over and kissed her gently. I won't be long. I just felt an urge to go up to the bridal path today. I'll be going with you again one of these days. A final peck on the lips at off Griffith Park, 7:30 a.m., the beginning of commuter traffic. Kojo joined the flow heading north on Riverside Drive, pleased that he wasn't a member of the herd, that he didn't have to pay dues to the clock. Kojo, whatever you do, try to stay out of the herd. Once you become a labor unit, you're dead. You'll be working your life away instead of doing your life's work. Thanks, Dad. That was the best piece of advice you've ever given me. He glanced at the man biting his nails in the next lane. The woman splashing makeup on her face in the car ahead of him, the air of tension evident beyond the steel frames of the vehicles. Impatient drivers blew their horns. They cursed other drivers. The streets were electric with hostile vibes. Kojo released a pent of breath as he drove into the park. Thank God I'm out of that madness for a minute. He drove slowly, enjoying the greenness of the park, smiled at the chubby couple laboring up the slight incline into the heart of the park. Poor babies. Tennis players, power walkers, joggers, people trying to be healthy. He parked, did a brief warm-up, and started his run on the bridle path. He felt strong, full of energy. Damn, it feels good to be in good shape. He fell into a comfortable groove and ran easily, using his run as a sightseeing tour. The early morning gophers, people romping with their dogs, horsey types bouncing along on their thoroughbreds. After the run, breathing easily, he decided to drive to the backside of the park. He had this thing to do, and I have my thing to do. Capoeira alone, shadow movements, the jinga, that basic dance step that has so many variations. Bangs, the front blessing kick, the merlu de France, the half moon slicing kick to the front, merlu de compasso, the spinning half moon compass kick, au, 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 the cartwheel somersault. 40 minutes later, after going through as many movements as he could remember with variations, he wandered over to a picnic bench and sat down, feeling a little winded, but exhilarated. He took casual notice of the tree limbs scattered around, the trimming dead wood. Beautiful day, spring in Southern California. He did a slow pan of the green hillside surrounding him, the woodsy atmosphere. Hard to believe we're in the middle of a big, massive city. It seemed to be a piece of one of the dead limbs until it moved in his direction. Red and black slithering toward him. Kojo froze, feeling scared of this thing that Asiafa would put into his life. The snake coiled, flicking its forked tongue out from side to side, listening to movements. Feed me. The horrible rasping sound grated in his ears. I've already fed you. Feed me. The same rasping sound like hard scales being scraped against metal. Kojo felt the perspiration trickle under his armpits. He made a quick decision. I have to do what he wants if I want to keep the flow going. Remember what happened the last time? I'm too deeply into this game to back out now. Kojo felt the words struggle out of his throat. He felt himself choking. Feed you what and where? The snake seemed to make a dancing movement with his head. Your firstborn here next month. Kojo leaped from the table, grabbed a piece of dead tree limb, and began to beat the snake to death. Quick, sure blows up and down the length of the snake. He felt mad and sick. The primeval fear that has made the snake a despised creature filled him with dread, forced him to pound the snake until it was a long, bloody pulp. The guitar player ran to his side. Oh my God, what happened? Did it attack you? Kojo stared at the limp, bloody thing on the ground and nodded. Yes, it attacked me. He threw the stick away and walked slowly to his car, feeling nauseous. It took a great effort to keep him from cracking up during the following days. He was obviously nervous and disturbed. Akosua noticed it, talked about it with her mother and her mother-in-law. You should see this man. He's a bundle of nerves. You'd think he was having the baby.
If you only
Kojo
knew.
felt compelled to do all the things he had to do, attend the meetings, discuss the publicity campaign for the film, deal with people. But he did it mechanically, like a man on a treadmill with no possibility of getting off. He noticed the secret feeling that something dreadful was going to happen to him, or Akosua, or the baby. He spent days at the beach staring at the water, waiting for something to happen, for some sign. Akosua tried to pull him out of himself. Come on, Mr. Creepy, let's go up to the park for a picnic. We haven't been up there for a while. The idea of the park made him feel cold waves run up and down his spine. Why not the beach? We haven't done the picnic at the beach in a while. Suits me. 3 days after a false baby arrival alarm. Akosua, what's wrong? You okay? I don't know. Feels like something's about to happen. The letter came. It was from Grace, and Kojo was fascinated. The one to pull it out of the mailbox. He made a mental note to talk with Akosua about the ex-lady friend in the motherland. She's a sweet sister, but I don't think she'd like for the correspondence to continue. I don't think I'd dig it if she was receiving letters and writing to an old flame. He closed himself in his study to read the letter. Dear Kojo, long time, eh? I hope all is going well with you and your work. Things are going on pretty much as usual. I'm doing well and trying to do better. But as you know, in Ghana here, one must be careful not to cause too much envy. You know what degree they will give me? It is called PhD, pull her down. Mm-hmm. From this point, I will limit my correspondence to Christmas cards. Why? Well, I started thinking of how I would feel if you were my husband and you were receiving letters from some woman in Africa. I hope you can appreciate my feelings about this matter. Kojo smiled and stared at the ceiling. God, I wish I could have married both of them. Now then, the news, as they say on the Ghana Broadcasting Company, GBC. I went to visit Aunt Eugenia in Chito last week, and she was full of news. She told me to tell you that the hut mistress was engaged to be married. What does that mean? The most devastating bit of news concerned that wild man of the forest is Asiafo, the one you made your deal with. He was found dead, his skull crushed on the outskirts of the village. There's a great suspicion that one of the members of the family that lost a family member to him may have done it. The consensus seems to be good riddance. I have to tell you honestly, I was a bit surprised when you told me of your deal with this man. I couldn't come out open and say to you, Kojo, I think it's a bit of rubbish because you seem so totally taken in by the possibilities that were being offered you. Well, in any case, whatever the obligations were, I think you should think that they have been effectively ceased at this point. The man is dead. The proverb says, you can't put food in a dead body's mouth. Kojo felt the tears sliding down his cheeks before he realized he was crying. All the weeks and months of tension, of feeling sick of the deal and the terms he had to meet began to flow out of him. I will be traveling to Cuba and possibly the United States sometime next year. I hope we can get together and do lunch, as you say in Hollywood. Till then, all my best, Grace. Kojo folded the note carefully and put it in his shirt pocket. I'm free. I won't have to feed a damn snake anymore. He shook his head, trying to reason with himself. Was I hallucinating? Did I actually make sacrifices to a snake? Have I been successful because of the deal? What now? Was it pure coincidence that Asiafo had his head crushed when I killed the snake? I have to find out what day he was killed. Speculation would cancel by an urgent knocking on his door. Yes? Kojo, I hate to disturb you, but I think it's time for us to go to the hospital. The film, My Grandfather's Eyes, was finished, edited, scored, distributed. It received an especially warm reception in Copenhagen, Denmark, and applauded. Akosua Ferguson Brown gave birth to an 8-pound, 4-ounce boy who was named Kwabena Bediako Brown. Kojo's following films, Secret Music and Dry Long So, removed him from the stereotype shadow of the white media's definition of a black writer, director, producer. Kojo, listen to this. Kojo Brown's Dry Long So, an almost undefinable word of African origin, appears to substantiate his appeal to people in general, rather than black people only. The high level of his art should make all of us appreciative of that fact. He shows all of the qualities that made Ingmar Bergman and Federico Fellini powers in their day. They just can't stop comparing to the white boys, no matter what, huh?
It's okay.
Seems that way. Even when they're supposed to be passing out compliments. The Browns were on a roll. Akuzua's books, finely written examinations of the finite play between the sexes, was critically acclaimed. And Kojo was following his 5-year plan in his 3rd movie. Their son was 5 years old and precocious. His grandparents were the first to take notice of the boy's interest in snakes. Kojo, looks like your son has a keen interest in snakes. Notice what happens when they open that big book on reptiles? He stares and points at them as though he knew every one of them. Close the book, Dad. Close the book. I don't want him to become interested in snakes. But why? Please, Dad. Just close the book. I'll explain it to you one day. In postscript. Dear Kojo, Charles had returned. He is older, has suffered serious psychological wounds from the war in Rwanda. But aside from that, he's feeling full of peace and vinegar, as you say in America. He came back to me unexpectedly, which is the way things like that happen. And once again, I must admit that your presence helped prepare his coming. I'm happy that matters have turned out in the way that they've turned out for us. I must admit that I couldn't have imagined a scenario to fit our circumstances. God does indeed work in mysterious ways. Ghana is going on, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, but always on. We discover new things, people, ways, and means every day. Please beware. We have found, according to the villages of Chito, that Asiafo left a son behind. Natui. I don't know what else to say. Love, grace. And there we have the conclusion of The Snake 2020.
Woo! That's
what I say too.
I
Fun reading a book.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to an end.
The beginning, the middle, and
the
the end. Yes, indeed. What does the blurb say on the back? The back of the book.
The back?
Yeah. I recall, right?
Let me read that. Odie Hawkins created the Pan-African occult genre, and The Snake 2020 is one of his finest examples of that genre. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkins seduces us from the Frankensteins, werewolves, and vampires of Europe to take a more profound look at the mythical spiritual life of Ghana, West Africa. Juju is an entrenched part of that experience. What is Juju? Read The Snake 2020 for more information. If you doubt the validity of the story, Google Juju Snake Ghana. And of course, some kind spirit offered these words about me, yours truly. Odie Hawkins, popularly known as the Underground Master. Sometimes they make me think they're talking about an undertaker or something.
No.
Known as the Underground Master, is the author of 33 books. I think it's 38 now. A dozen books of short story collections, hundreds of articles, 9 film scripts, several television scripts, 50 radio scripts, and 100 YouTube performances. Alex Haley and Holland Ellison asked the question, why is this brilliantly talented writer being given greater acceptance? Well, I don't know. What do I know?
Indeed. Well, I'll be looking forward to future readings, Odie Hawkins.
Oh, yes.
Okay, this has been fun. I'm glad that it ended the way it ended. I am concerned that Asiafo left behind a son. That's concerning.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. But maybe we'll know about that from one of your other books.
We'll be looking into the new book come Tuesday, which will give everybody a chance to labor on Labor Day. Strange name, Labor Day.
Labor Day. Sounds like everybody's pregnant.
I wonder what our ancestors would have called it. The enslaved people who built this place.
Labor Day.
I'm sure they wouldn't have called
every
it
day.
Labor Day.
Labor Day every day.
Labor Day every day.
All right then. Well, thank you again. Your book can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Author House. You are on the author's web, on Amazon's author's page. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. And Google Odie Hawkins to find the many videos and other events of Odie Hawkins.
Alfred, I think all that she's saying is that the lives of Black lives matter too. Stay Fair.
Black authors matter too, indeed. So, if you like these moments in time, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Ashe.